Sometimes a phone call can break a whole life again. I was sitting by my window, thinking that maybe time had really healed my wounds, maybe now life was starting to go straight again, but as soon as the phone rang and Aiko's trembling voice came on the other end, my heart started beating fast for no reason. This story is a must-listen if you've ever recovered from a heartbreak, and if you've ever trusted someone, don't forget to read it now, because the next moment was going to change my life forever. Aiko said in one breath, "I'm dating Ren, the same Ren," and my whole world went silent for a moment, as if someone had sucked out all the light inside me. The same breakup scene suddenly played out in front of me, the thunder of the rain, the humidity of the night, my broken umbrella, Ren's false promises, the last sentence he said. Everything was drowned in an anime-style fog. If you want to know how that one phone call changed the course of my life, then read this story further. And never say that betrayal only happens in movies. But the real blow came when Aiko said the last line, and Mommy said she doesn't have any problems. In fact, she's happy. Sometimes it's not the food on a table, but the plates of deception that take a man's breath away. As I approached the dinner table, the image of Aiko and Ren sitting together was hammered into my eyes like nails. Ami Keiko's shining smile was telling me that there was no chair for my pain in this house. Every sound, every laugh, every shared touch was creating a new crack in my heart, and if you've ever pretended to someone that you're okay, you know how the screams inside a person drown in silence at such moments. Aiko suddenly smiled and said, "Ren says I'm his true soulmate." And at that moment, the whole world spun in slow motion, my breath hitched, my hands trembled, and my heart asked me if he was a soulmate. Then what was I? But the real fire was ignited when Ren looked at me and said in a low voice, as if just to let me hear, "To tell you the truth, all of this wasn't my plan." Some news falls into a person's chest like a sudden stone stopping the heartbeat. I was just sitting next to my mother when Aiko, laughing, blurted out the phrase that sent shivers down my spine, "We're getting married." And the next moment, my mother's voice echoed as if someone had sprinkled salt on my wounds. "Finally, our family is complete." But which family? What happiness? Only white noise was ringing in my ears, my heart rate was changing to heavy beats like an anime, the world had turned into a fog, and my eyes were fixed on Aiko and Ren's shining faces as if they were both standing above my breath and celebrating. If you've ever felt that moment when your voice can't be heard in front of everyone, you'd know how loud silent screams are. I just sat there hiding the debris of my emotions, but at that moment Ren looked at me for a moment. That look was clear, very clear, too clear. And in those clear eyes, there was a mystery hidden that sent cold electricity through my veins, because he didn't smile at me, but was afraid. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from outside the home, but rather the home itself becomes its new address. As soon as the wedding noise died down, Mom made the announcement that shook the ground from under my feet. "Aiko and Ren will stay here, with us." My breath hitched, protest quivering on my lips. I said, "Mom, this isn't right." But she immediately said, pouring out the same old guilt, "She's your sister too. She deserves to be happy, Hannah. Have you become so small-hearted?" And the air in the room seemed to turn against me, the walls began to close in, my heart collided with the broken memories behind and became dizzy again. In Ren's house, the same house where I had tried to run away from my pain, and now I couldn't even run away. If you've ever had to live with someone who broke you into pieces, you know how every breath feels like a noose. I stood still, watching everyone celebrate, but at that moment something shook my entire being. Aiko looked at me and winked as she turned her back on Ami, as if she wanted to say, "This house is my playground now, go watch." Some wars are not fought with bullets, but with silent tortures waged before my eyes. The house was no longer a home, it had become a silent battlefield where every day Aiko would play a new trick. She would hold Ren's hand in front of me, rest her head on his shoulder, laugh artificially, as if every touch were an arrow that would shoot straight through my heart, and Ren's strange gentleness, his shy but non-intrusive gestures, were not salve but salt to my wounds, because sometimes kindness can feel like betrayal when it comes from the wrong person. The nights go by in an anime style montage. I sit in the dark by the suffocating window and cry silently. The soft sad piano OST flows softly in the background, and every tear reminds me that I live under the same roof where my heart is being beaten over and over again. But in the midst of all this storm, one night something happened that took my breath away. I heard Aiko leaning over Ren and whispering something, and Ren replied, "Does Hannah know?" Some truths don't break the heart, they shake the whole being. That night was heavier than all the others when Ren came to me unawares and said the sentence that choked my entire being. I never really left Hannah. As time stopped, as the walls leaned in on me, as every silent sorrow woke up at once, but an even more intense moment was when Aiko heard it all. A flame flared in her eyes and the next second the whole house shook with screams, Aiko's accusations, Ren's muddled explanations, and in the middle of it all, the same old decision from Ami, the same blindness, the same venomous phrase, Aiko is still right, Hannah, you just think too much. And this time my composure broke, not my heart, my whole soul screamed. I said in a trembling voice, I'm only getting hurt in this house, that's it. And as I turned to leave, Ren's very low, frightened whisper rang in my ears, Hannah, if I tell you what the real reason was, everything will change. Sometimes a person doesn't leave home. He leaves the place where his breath is trapped. I closed my suitcase with trembling hands. The sound of its clanking echoed as if someone had put the final lock on my heart. Ami's helplessness from behind, Aiko's burning eyes, and Ren's silent panic didn't try to stop me, or maybe they knew that no one could stop me now. It was raining when I opened the door and stepped out, but for the first time today it wasn't a metaphor for defeat. It felt like a fresh breeze of freedom, like the sky itself had come to wash away my burdens. And if you've ever taken the hardest step of your life, you know that sometimes giving up is the first step to living. My breathing became lighter, my steps stronger, and as I reached the corner of the street, a door slammed shut behind me. I didn't look back. But one thing sent shivers down my spine. Ren was standing behind me in the rain, without saying anything, just looking at the house I had left behind. Some lives are not reborn, they pull themselves out of the ashes and create a new form. I felt for the first time that breathing could truly be easy as soon as I stepped into a small but bright apartment. The new job reassured me a little that I was capable. The tears flowing in the therapy room were not weak, they were untying the knots inside me, and like a self-growth montage, each session took me one step further from my previous life. Evenings with new friends, spontaneous moments of laughter, and a self-confidence that I had probably never felt, all were awakening a new Hannah within me. I finally blocked Ren and Aiko, not just on my phone, but on my heart, on my mind, on every wall of memory. And if you've ever been out of a toxic relationship, you know that blocking isn't a button, it's a decision. I thought that was it, this is where my new life begins. But that same night, as I closed the window of my new apartment, the phone lit up for a moment, and a notification flashed on the screen. Ren, you can block me everywhere, but you can't stop what's coming. Some forgiveness is not for others, it is to free oneself. Time passed, the wounds healed, and one day Ami's trembling voice tore through the silence. She was drowning in guilt, saying that Aiko and Ren's marriage was now slowly crumbling. There were no words in the house, only cold walls remained, and I, who once burned with this pain, was now surprisingly calm. I put the phone to my ear and said very softly, I forgive you all, but I won't let you back into my life. The phrase came out of strength, not resentment, as if I had finally become the master of my soul. In the anime-style final shot, I am seen walking towards the sun, the wind stirring my hair, the hopeful OST slowly rising, and my voice echoing in the background. Sometimes you have to walk away from the closest people to find yourself. I move forward, towards a brighter future, but as the scene begins to fade out, one final article emerges. My journey was not about escaping the people who broke me, but rather finding the person I could always be. Relationships don't complete us, self-awareness does. And where there is no value in the heart, there is no need to live.